Hello, my friends. My name is Josh Tully. This is Acquisitional Wealth, episode number 9. And I'm so glad you're here. Before we get too deep in today's episode, I should remind you of a few things. If this is the first time you've joined us, I would strongly recommend going back and watching episode number 1. It is a great foundation to kind of get a grasp of this entire concept of how buying and selling businesses, or what we call acquisitional wealth, is the strongest, fastest, most proven way to create life-changing wealth. So go back and watch episode 1. Also, before we get too deep, make sure you follow us on Facebook. We have a great Facebook page there. You can join that absolutely free, no commitments at all. And we have some great conversations. We also do an episode in review. So if you've been enjoying these episodes so far, we take each episode and we kind of do an after-show breakdown and answer some questions and that sort of thing. So make sure you enjoy those as well as these episodes. All right, so today's topic is really one that I'm kind of looking forward to doing. And whenever you look at this entire sort of idea of buying and selling businesses, it's always based on excitement, right? Oh, buy this business, buy that business. Look, you can buy businesses, no money down. And we've done an episode on that too. But really what we have to talk about that nobody seems to want to talk about is what businesses to avoid. Yeah, we're going to talk about what businesses to avoid. Now, these are going to be basically industry sort of definitions, not individual businesses. That would take a lot more analysis, and each one's going to have a specific sort of, set of standards to it. But it's going to be an interesting episode because whenever I go around the country talking about this and teaching people how to buy businesses, it's always what should I buy? What should I buy? What should I buy? And it's never what should I avoid buying. And because of that, a lot of people get in businesses that they shouldn't be in. So let's kind of start, I guess, at the beginning. When looking at a business, period, whether to buy it or not to buy it, how here at Acquisitional Wealth do we decide if it's even something worth consideration? It has to match your C. Now, if you don't know what your C is, I would strongly recommend finding my teaching called The Meaning of Life. It talks about how to really define what it would take in your life to bring fulfillment. And it's never money, it's not, you have to be rich. That's not it at all. But what it does is it allows you a very concrete definition to base all your other decisions off of. So, for example, one business might be great for me, but it might be terrible for you. And we don't know that unless we know for ourselves what our C or what our meaning of life is. Does that make sense? That's why I always avoid these sort of teachings that are like, oh, buy car washes, they're great, or buy HVAC, or, buy laundromats. That's way too broad. That's just generic. Typically people saying that are trying to sell you a course or a membership or mentorship or something. And real world life doesn't work that way. So it really does have to start with, what's your C? What are you trying to accomplish? And that's going to be our baseline for the rest of the conversation. Make sense? So you feel free to listen to the rest of this episode before you go hunting down my teaching on the meaning of life. But once you do finally watch it, come back to this episode and watch again. Make sense? All right. So what businesses do we want to avoid? Typically, if it's your first 1, 2, or 3 businesses that you're buying, which I consider beginner level, you're going to want to stay away from restaurants. Just being honest. You're going to want to stay away from restaurants. The reason you're going to want to stay away from restaurants, and it's not just because we now live in a post-pandemic world. Restaurants have always been fickle. Always. Even if you're a top, world-renowned celebrity chef, restaurant survival is extremely, extremely difficult, which is why even the most famous of famous chefs typically change restaurants every 3 to 5 years because it just doesn't have the consistency. So there's a lot of economic fickleness to it. There's also a lot of costs that constantly fluctuate. Your turnover is insane. Loss is crazy through the roof, like damaged food and stuff, damaged plates, cups, cleaning costs. It's just a really hard business, and it's very subject to external factors too. Things like weather, construction. And whenever I bring that up, people are like, oh, I get weather. I mean, okay, so if, there's a hurricane coming, nobody's going to go out to dinner. I got it. But what do you mean construction? What a lot of people do, because I'm going to buy a business all by myself. I'm not going to get a broker. They fail to kind of look into extenuating circumstances that will impact your business. For example, let's say you're looking at a restaurant. And you're like, man, this place is popular as all get out. It's full every night of the week, blah, 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 blah. But you fail to do your research and realize that street that it's on is in about 2 months' time going to be ripped up. And it's going to be a 1-year process for them to rebuild that exit or whatever. You get the point. Well, how does that impact your business? Oh, obviously. Obviously, yes, it does. And sometimes that's an indicator as to the real reason somebody might be selling it. Now, there's plenty of good reasons to sell a business. I'm not one of those, well, if it's a good business, why would they sell it? Why would you not? I mean, when do you sell it? When it's bad? So I totally get there's great reasons to sell good businesses. But one of the things that is interesting is if they know something's coming, now's the time to get out of it. And if you're just going it alone because I read a book or something, I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of situations where they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. And then, of course, they blame the whole, well, I'm never going to buy a business again. No, you were just dumb and you thought you'd do it by yourself because you watched an online course or you read a book and thought, well, I don't need to be an expert to do this or something. And that's just ridiculous. So anyway, that's a long way around saying avoid restaurants. Followed up right back up to restaurants are anything that's basically retail. I know. And what's crazy about that is most people, when they're going out to buy their first business or even their second business, they're kind of stuck in that employee mindset anyway, because that's what they've been doing their whole life. So their knee-jerk reaction is to do something retail. But retail, again, is extremely fickle when it comes to trends and, popularity, brand loyalty, all that sort of stuff. Very, very fickle. And then you have supply chain issues. And then you just have math. One of the things that's killing retail is not the internet. It's really not. I have a whole teaching on that, and I'm actually coming up with a book on that entire topic too. But it's not the internet that's killing retail. It's the fact that retail can't capitalize, usually, on their square footage enough to make it actually pay. Like, for example, there used to be a time in America where if you went to a small town prices were cheaper. They would actually advertise small town prices, right? And if you're old enough, a little gray, you remember those days. Well, those days are gone. And this is true in the city too, but this is a great example of why. In days gone by, your rent in a small town might be $150 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. No kidding. Well, that means if you have a retail store, like a flower shop or something, you could sell flowers for like $1 a rose and make enough money to live and survive and go you. Well, what's happened throughout time is inflation, of course, and other circumstances, which includes publicly traded companies owning things, but that's a 4-hour show. But suffice it to say, the costs have gone up exponentially. Like it's nuts. There's no such thing as 3 to 4% inflation. That's a lie. So the costs have gone up. Well, now you have a situation where you don't sell enough flowers out of this flower shop, period. Even if you were successful, even if there was somebody in there every 12 minutes getting a flower, you're going to go out of business. The same is true with a lot of Well, obviously other sort of product retail, retail services, dog grooming, stuff like that. You just can't. You don't have enough square footage to put enough dogs on tables to get them clipped. And if you did add the square footage, you would need more dogs. See the problem? So it's kind of like tying a hangman's noose around a tree and then watering the tree. So you have to be really, really careful with retail. And again, this is just your first 1, 2, or 3 businesses. If it's business 4 or 5, go for it. Go for it. And why do I say that? If this is the first time you've joined us, your first 1, 2, or 3 businesses should be foundational businesses. They should be recession resistant. There's no such thing as recession proof, but recession resistant. They should be in non-disruptible sort of industries. Everybody's like, man, I want to disrupt. No, you want something that's not disruptible. You want something that even if Elon Musk invents a flying car that flies itself, you're still not going to take a hit. Make sense? So retail. Another sort of business that I would recommend kind of avoiding at this point anyway, if for your first 1, 2, or 3, is transportation and logistics. Again, because of costs and turnover. I love the trucking industry. I love it. I love cargo ships. I love airplanes. If it moves, I love it, basically. One of my next businesses that I'm hoping to buy soon is a railroad. So I'm all about how do we move things. And I understand, hey, it's the lifeblood that's never going to change. So you might be thinking, well, Josh, this is an industry that's never going to change. That's recession resistant, right? Yeah. But you have insanely high turnover. Ask anybody who's bought like FedEx or not FedEx routes. Yeah, FedEx routes. Anybody who's bought FedEx routes or Amazon routes or anything like that, they'll tell you point blank, you're basically an HR firm that just happens to have trucks because you are constantly rehiring. Every semi running down the road has a what on the back of it? Now hiring. Why? Because turnover is insane. It's insane in transportation. Well, that's going to be a bad business to be in if this is your first, second, or third business, because most likely that means who's going to be in charge of fixing that problem? You. So you want to be really careful with that. And again, when I say this, there are exceptions to the rule and it's case-by-case basis, all that sort of stuff. Please understand me. I mean, this is being presented to a faceless mass, right? So there are exceptions, but I see so many people going down these routes of, because they're easy. They're everywhere. I mean, there's people advertising on social media how to buy these things. I get it. But just that alone should kind of tell you, really though? Really? So just be a little bit careful with that. What other businesses to avoid? Typically, I will tell people to avoid something that they know, like, or love. And I know this comes as a shock to a lot of people, just total out of left field, because all the success gurus tell you, find something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's a bunch of crap. And that is an absolute bunch of crap. Too often, when you do something you love, you will lose your love for the thing you're doing. It's very true. I've talked to actors and actresses who now hate acting. I have a friend who's a celebrity chef who hates food. I've talked to pastors who hate the ministry, not because they hate God, obviously, but because once it has to be how you make a living, your love for it starts to turn into almost a disdain for it. And if you really think about it, the things you love are the things you pay the price for, not things that pay you. Does that make sense? Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't find some sort of joy or fulfillment out of it, but there's way too much of this, oh, I love that industry. I want to be in that industry. I don't care what industry it is. I care about my family. I care about traveling. I care about impacting my community. So whatever business I need to be in to make those goals happen, that's the business I'm in. And it makes you way happier. You will actually be more happy owning a business you don't love and doing the things in life that you do love, as opposed to ignoring the things you do love to have a business you supposedly love. Guarantee it. Now, what about what you know and like? 9 times out of 10, What'll happen when somebody decides to go out on their own and start a business, especially, but when they buy them too, but really when they start one too, they will start a business doing whatever it was that they've done before. And this blinds you from opportunity. It really does. You could have a massive opportunity, make $6-7 million a year. And I have seen people walk right by that because they wanted to make 40 grand a year owning a coffee shop, because I always wanted coffees. Coffee shop is where community can be, and we can have prayer meetings in the back, and it'd be great. I want to own a coffee shop. Could have been making $5-6 million a year and having the coffee shop, and even if it loses money, it stays open in perpetuity, and you never have to worry about sales. Or you could own the coffee shop, struggle every day, wonder if you're going to be open next month, and that $5-6 million a year just walked right out your life. So you got to be careful with that. And then the next thing I would say try to avoid or be careful with is this idea that small and easy is a great place to start. That small and easy is a great place to start. No. Now, it's easy to sell. That's absolutely true. Like, I could probably make a fortune starting some webpage teaching people how to buy car washes, laundromats, and HVAC companies or something. But you have to be smarter than that. Nothing wrong with those. Nothing wrong with those. But don't just knee-jerk reaction. Say, oh, I'm gonna buy a car wash and it basically runs itself and I just have to go buy every once in a while and collect money. First, that's not true at all. It's still a business. So all of those other things that go into a business purchase, those 27 pages of checklists and 11-point font, still go into it. If not, I've seen that turn terribly bad really fast. Talk about losing a few $100,000. So you have to be careful with that. But beyond that, there's also this mindset of, well, it's simple, easy. I don't have to manage employees. I can kind of just get into this right now and see if it works, get my toe dipped in this entrepreneurial space and see if this, acquisitional wealth sort of thing is for me. And it has been so destructive for a lot of people. First, you have to realize that most of these businesses, unless you buy them in quantity, are still going to require you. Right? And you might think, well, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, okay, I'm going to collect money on Tuesdays, and I'm just going to sit back and drink my margaritas all the other days. No. If there's a leak in the hose, that's you. If there is, drugs or some crime happening in your car wash, that's you. If there's, a washer machine breaks in the laundromat, that's you. Well, Josh, I'm going to hire a manager. Great. Then that's money out of your pocket that you're not going to take home. So that whole SDE times 3 went out the window. Now you have to buy quantity of those in order to afford the manager. Well, if you're going to buy quantity of those, you could have bought a much better business, made a lot more money, and actually been on the beach sipping your margarita. So you kind of just have to do the duh sort of math there. And it's so prevalent out in the internet space right now to just knee-jerk reaction get into one of these. And again, nothing wrong with them. I've owned some of them. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's our approach to this topic. It's our approach to the conversation. And most importantly, is this the right business for you? You want to avoid businesses that are not the right business for you. I have given away $1 million businesses more than once, given them away because it didn't match my C. So does it match your C? Does it match your meaning of life? Real quick, the C is the balance of time, money, and people. So just keep that in mind. Go watch The Meaning of Life. You'll get the context. But does that business provide the time, money, and people you need it to achieve that objective? Because the next thing we tend to see is we see somebody get into a business that's just not the right fit for them. And their mindset is, well, I'm going to get out of this one in 4 to 5 years, and I'm going to get the better one then. I'm going to get the one I really like then. That doesn't usually happen. It just doesn't. I don't know why. It just doesn't. So my suggestion is define your C, and then go for the biggest, most solid, most profitable business you can right out of the gate. Now, does that mean it's going to answer all of your wish list? No. But you're going to save yourself years, make yourself hundreds of thousands of more dollars per year, and it's going to be a much smoother transition for you. So, does that make sense? I hope it does. Because I've seen so many people, especially now in this age of, all these internet coaches on how to buy businesses. They'll just follow these coaches' advice. The coach doesn't have skin in that game with you. They don't care. Well, I'm sure they care about you as humans and yada yada. You get that, but they just thought, well, I bought vending machines once, so I'm going to tell everybody to buy vending machines. Man, I have met so many people who have lost a fortune on vending machines, ATM, coffee makers, you name it. Well, Josh, aren't there people who make money with them too? Yes, there are. Yeah, but you don't just blindly go and buy something just because somebody online suggests that business or that industry. That's why I never have made a video, hey guys, if you want to make money, get into that business. And I've had that conversation. I really have. I've had other experts say, Josh, you should just pick an industry, tell everybody to get into that industry, and then create a course to teach them how to run and do that industry and then make money doing it. And I have from day one said, no, that's death on a stick. That's leading the masses to slaughter. For every 4 or 5 people who hit a home run with that, there's going to be thousands of people who don't. Whereas if we teach the overall business expertise of craft, right, the craft of business, and then teach people how acquisitional wealth as a concept, as a whole science and system can expand that wealth creation for a family, then we can have 99% success rates and 1% failure rates, because now people are choosing the businesses that are right for them. They're choosing businesses that have some sort of specific indicator that specific business is going to be a fit, to get them where they want to go. And obviously it's not 99%. I don't want somebody to say, well, you said 99% of the time. No. You get the point. But anyway, I hope that helps, because avoiding the wrong business is just as profitable. It's just as profitable as buying a business. And you won't get that unless you make that mistake. You really won't. You won't get that unless you make that mistake. But yeah. And use experts. Use experts. It doesn't have to be me. It really doesn't. It doesn't have to be me or my company. Odds are you're not going to get me anyway. But it doesn't have to be my company. And I sincerely mean this. But don't just try to go it alone. I get in the modern era, the era of Zillow and all those real estate apps. Yeah, you could get into real estate without a realtor. You could. I still wouldn't recommend it, but you could. When it comes to business transactions, whether you call it, Main Street business brokerage, or you call it M&A services or investment banking, really the same thing, just different level of size of business. There's a reason why that industry is so honed, because it's not as simple as people want to think it is. It's just not. I kind of want to go more into depth on that. We're going to do an entire episode looking at closing on a business. But it's not as simple as people think it is. And I would strongly recommend, even if it's not me, use experts. Use experts. And you hear this excuse, well, the expert's going to charge me. The expert's going to get a commission. The expert, I don't want them to get the money. First, what's wrong with you? Second, they should earn it. They should earn it. There have been multiple times. Matter of fact, I just sold a business over $1.2 million for a guy. When I met with him, he told me point blank, I don't think we'll ever get $800,000 for it. So wait a second. Wait. He would have sold it for less than $800,000, I sold it for over 1.2 million. Do you think he was mad that I made a commission on that? No, not at all. So the same thing is true when we represent a buyer. If I can represent a buyer effectively, I pay for myself. Same thing, and it's not just me. So you're not like, well, you're just promoting your industry. Let's take accountants. I'm not an accountant. At the time of this filming, I don't own an accounting firm. Now that might change, but at the time of this filming, I don't own an accounting firm. But I'll point blank tell you, a good accountant is worth their weight in gold. And a good accountant is going to charge you $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. And you might think, well, I can buy the bookkeeper down the street. I can buy the services of the bookkeeper down the street for $500 a month. You get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. They're going to reconcile the books and make sure, accounts payable are paid and accounts receivable are logged into QuickBooks. Well, isn't that what I need? No, that's enough to suffice. What does the good accountant do? The good accountant sees the strategy. The good accountant says, hey, you know what? You should hire a disabled vet. Why? Because we get a tax benefit if we do. Oh, I didn't know that. Great. The accountant did. Now, that one hire could have paid for that accountant. The accountant could say something like, hey, you know what? You need to have 4 corporate meetings a year anyway, once a quarter, since you're a C Corp or an S Corp. Why don't you list your house on Airbnb and list it for a pretty high amount, but then your corporation rents your house on Airbnb for their corporate meeting, and it just so happens that quarterly meeting of rental is the same as your mortgage payment. So now instead of saying, well, I can only write off the square footage of the office space that I'm using in my house, no. But that's a good accountant. And of course, seek the legal advice of a certified tax professional. I'm not an accountant. That was not legal advice or accounting advice. That was just an example of why you hire a good accountant. And if you don't know what that little thing I did with my hands is, that's my asterisk. So for years on stage, I would have to asterisk things, right? And then I thought, well, how do you verbally or visually asterisk something? So I just came up with this little asterisk. That's what that was. But anyway, back to my point. My point is a good professional is worth their weight in gold. Don't try to skimp and save. That's an employee mindset. An employer mindset, a business owner mindset, is not about how much money am I skimping and saving. It's about how much money am I making? What am I creating? What opportunities am I taking advantage of? What strategic moves did I just make? That's the priority, not, well, I don't know if I want to pay a commission because that's just more money that could have gone to me. Nope. Whatever commission you think you would have paid, if you hire a really good professional, they will make you multiple times more than what that is because of what they've done for you. So anyway, that's the businesses to avoid and a quick little note on hiring a professional. That does it for today. So remember, follow us on Facebook. Join our page, our group, whatever it is. I think we have both. Join us there. If you're watching this on YouTube or some video streaming services, like, share, and subscribe, and share. Did I say share? Make sure you share these. Go back and listen to episode 1. Share the bejeebies out of that one. If you're listening to this on iHeart or iTunes or whatever, make sure to subscribe there as well. And I will talk and see you next time.